Well, Robert Earl Dean, we're so blessed to have another really great, inspirational and amazing interview.
Yes.
Can you bring us on up to date?
Yes, this young man, I've heard so much about him before I actually met him
Uh huh.
through a mutual person that we know and love, my cousin John DeCure. And that whole camp there with G and all them, we heard about this young man. And I was like, who is this young man that everybody's talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a chance to meet him because he came to the USS Midway,
Uh huh.
I believe, to play for J.J. Hairston, if I'm not mistaken. And
Okay.
I had a chance to meet him.
Well, I want to see if you can get his name right because we done heard 15 different renditions of how to say his first name. So I'm gonna see if you get it right. He gonna confirm it for
And I've
us.
been practicing too.
Okay. So so introduce him. Let's see what you got.
This is the one and only, I call him the super producer, Javad Day. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Thank you, Holy Ghost.
Good
Thank you, Holy
morning.
Ghost.
Won't he do it?
Holy
Yes, he
Ghost.
will. I've been
Yeah.
Well,
practicing.
listen, if you come before him, he'll give you what you need.
Yes, he will, man. And you are you a testimony to that, dude. You are everywhere. How did you get positioned to do all the great things that you are doing right now, man?
Oh man, God. I mean, that's it's really as simple as that. Funny thing is, I do remember meeting you, and I remember us talking about doing some work together. I was with
Correct.
Bennett Pay Singer.
Yes, you were. You
I
guys both
remember
came
that.
over there.
We
Yes,
met
sir.
on side stage.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I remember. We were talking about doing some records and things.
Yes.
So that's amazing.
Yes, sir. And we were definitely gonna have you on this radio station at some point.
Well, I want to.
Oh well, I'm honored.
I want to know. Do you remember meeting me? I was the brother in the back eating Popeye's chicken, and I offered you a wing. You remember that?
At on the ship.
On the midway, you was on the keyboards, and I tried to pass you a bucket of Popeye's chicken. You don't remember that?
Nah, I don't remember
Cause,
that.
cause, because it probably didn't happen. That's LT.
Oh no! Listen, man, listen. Don't do me like that, because I was good to really be like trying to figure it out. Like,
Right,
oh
right.
no! 'Cause listen, you listen in this business. If you don't speak to somebody and they spoke to you, whether you saw them or not, all of a sudden you're a terrible person. So I was like, oh wait.
Right, right. When did that happen? So, brother, how did you get started? Because I know you come from a family of preachers, a family of singers and talent.
Yeah. Well, as far as the music that everybody else would know, obviously church. I played at a lot of churches in LA. I was at First Church of God with Dixon, where when he was there, I was at Friendship for a long time, Bishop Carrington. I'm currently at Judson, where Dr. Baylor, who just passed a couple weeks ago, was the pastor for a very long time. So, and then, I come out of West Bay. Jenny McCosker is my godmother. Um,
Kojic boy.
a full, yeah, all day long. So, church obviously was always the first thing for me.
Hmm.
Um, and while I was at Friendship, the bass player, Alex Evans, was musical directing for Fantasia Barrina.
Hmm.
And their keyboard player was sick or something happened. And so they asked me to come in. And he was like, man, you can play, like, if you can play this church stuff, you can play this R&B stuff, no problem, because it's easier. I was
Right.
like, oh, okay. And so, there was a learning curve because the approach is a lot different. But it started there, and from there, it just, God kept blessing. I got from that, I got Charlie Wilson after that, and then I got Shaka Khan. And then after Shaka Khan, who I was with Andrew Goucher, who's another Los Angeles
Yes, a legend, legendary
world-renowned
bassist.
legend.
Legend.
Yeah, I learned so much under his tutelage
Right.
that I was able to take some of that stuff that I learned, and by this time I was starting to help him to arrange the show.
Wow.
And I just took he was leaving because Prince wanted him, and so he went out with Prince, and I was like, I'm gonna just see what happens if I try to be a musical director, whatever. Like, let's just see. And it just kind of went, and people liked what I did. And so from there, I got Estelle, and then J Lo, and then Sierra, and then like all these acts just started kind of coming, and I started kind of building a name in the industry for being able to have a quote unquote different sounding show.
Right.
Well, I know it's my God-given talent, and it's whether people like to admit it or not, especially with the times we're dealing with now. A lot of other cultures like to take from black culture.
Come on, brother.
But what a lot of people don't say, and I'll get in trouble for this, but I don't care. A lot of these secular artists love church.
Amen.
It's that flavor.
They love church.
It's that flavor.
They love
that
the
sauce
flavor that
and that
comes.
juice that
They
come with
love it. They love
Yes,
it.
sir.
They
Yes,
love
sir.
the intensity of it, and they say things like, "Man, something different. Like, why? It sounds different when that's a church court there, and you don't want it to be overly churchy because then for them it starts to sound like jazz.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to find a niche where I can kind of meet them in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and God just did the rest, and it's been a great 5-6 years of me being a musical director on my own, and God validating me there helped me to be more validated here in the city. So then I got with John, and Pastor the Cure, we just started producing artists. Like, we have Nia Allen's album coming out. I think
today.
her listening party is
Tonight.
today.
I
think the listening thing is tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got that. We got a couple other artists. We've been doing some TV stuff. So it's just God, man. I really can't. I wish I could pinpoint, like, okay, what was the thing that you specifically did?
Right.
Just a lot of preparation, and the rest is really just favor.
One of the things I want to ask you is that being that you're a church guy,
and it's a young guy,
and you are in this secular arena, how do you live? How do you live God out loud, and how is your walk with God impacting of the environments that you're in?
Well, I've been blessed to be in situations where the artists that I've worked with also believe in God in some shape or form.
Right.
So I haven't had to, I don't want to say hide my Christianity, but I don't have to, like, I'm also Ricky Martin's co-musical director.
Right.
So Ricky Martin is a whole nother world.
Yes.
Like, I'm the only black guy, his stadiums, everything is in different languages, but everybody there believes in God and they respect what I do. Like, there's, on one of the songs, one of his hit songs, I won't say what it is, but he literally said, Javad, can you take us to church on this one song?
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
okay, that's right up your alley.
And the funny thing is, in our world, a lot of times artists are so quick. It's so funny, man, just cultures, how different cultures are with what they embrace.
Right.
So, for example, I could have a Beyonce or a Sierra or somebody. I'm not using them. Not saying they've done it.
Right.
But let's say there's a black artist that is so busy trying to be commercially sound when they're building their music show that they might not embrace something that will get the type of reaction versus Latins and a lot of these other cultures, Caucasians and Asians, they see like, oh man, let's put that thing in there because the horn can do this and this can do that and this can do that. And I mean, they over at the Ricky Martin camp, they've been so embracing of what my culture is, but they've been so respectful of it.
Right.
Versus it being, yo, let's do that and take the credit. It's like, no, we know that drums really come from Africa and such and such and such, and we study this. And, I mean, they're just students of music.
And they value
literally, Ricky, they value, oh my God.
More than we value ourselves a lot of times.
Man, and it's so crazy with Ricky's people because they're just so respectful. Like when Kobe Bryant died, they gave me the day off.
Wow.
And we were on tour. And when we got to rehearsal, it was just like, hey, everybody, let's have a moment of silence because, someone really, and even though Kobe Bryant is obviously Kobe Bryant, but because he's black and I'm black.
They respected that you felt that you were going to feel something.
Yeah, they were like, Javad, are you okay to finish rehearsal? And Ricky came in, hey, brother, go home. We'll get the rehearsal. See you tomorrow. With the George Floyd guy that just died, Ricky Martin got it on his page.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the kind of things. So when it comes to music,
wow,
man, when I came in, they were like, listen, we've been watching your videos, and we love what you did with this person. We love what you did with this person. But we also been looking at your church videos.
Wow.
And like, wow, the stuff that you're doing at church, can we implement some of that into living the vida loca? Can we? It was like, oh,
Wow.
okay. And I mean, you know, and their music is so heartfelt. Like his ballads feel like praise and worship anyway.
It's
Like if you listen to any of his ballads, it feel like you want to worship when you're done. It's like, why do I feel that? Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
The influence of gospel
Yeah,
music goes so deep and is transcended into the pop
yeah,
culture. And we as
yeah.
church folk, we as gospel singers, gospel musicians need to learn to develop a new love for what we've gotten just from instinct and from living. It's part of our life.
That's Operation Takeover. We taking it
We
back for
taking
the
it back.
kingdom. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this question, my brother. You have worked with some wonderful people throughout the industry.
Huge.
If you had a wish list of three more people you want to work with, living or dead, who would that be?
Oh, if it's living or dead, there's nobody living there. It'd be Michael Jackson. Um, I would have loved to work with Thomas Whitfield.
Wow.
Okay.
That's probably because Thomas Whitfield is so instrumental in the West Coast sound
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people, unless you're like a Michael Burrell or a Bennett or somebody like that, Jason White, that knows, a lot of people don't know how much his movement and how he plays has influenced how we play.
Right.
You know, and how we, like, a lot of the stuff is a lot of the same. You could really just hear it. I would have loved to work with him. I would have loved to work with Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with Prince. Maybe either, it's probably a toss up between Whitney and James Brown.
Wow. And those are all icons and legends. And,
Yeah,
and it's funny because everybody you name got their start in church in some capacity.
yeah, yeah. I would have loved just like Whitney at her height, like right after the "I Will Always Love You." Because see, to me, "I Will Always Love You." To me, Whitney was probably one of the last pure pop icon singers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like when you're building a show for artists, without giving too much of a secret,
Right.
you have some artists that sing at a different level,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on how they're creating the show,
Mm-hmm.
you may or may not know that. Versus a Whitney Houston or a singer like from the 80s and
Mm-hmm.
the 70s, maybe early 90s, they were really singing.
Right.
So,
Flatfoot.
you know, yeah, and their approach to, you can just do so many different things. Back then, it was about the dancers, but it was really, really about when you had an
The
R&B
vocalist.
singer, it
The
was really
vocalist.
about the music.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, as great as God has been in my career, I've had a lot of pop artists, which has made me very successful.
Mm-hmm.
But the musician in me sometimes is like, man, I would love to just be able to just, be able to sit flat foot and just play.
Right.
Versus it always being about a dance choreography or,
Mm-hmm.
you have to worry about video. And, okay, well, Javad, this transition has to get us to the pyro that's supposed to trigger the video.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay. And nobody's thinking, what about the music? Because this is a music show. Like,
Right. Right.
somebody's singing. But,
Right.
but that's the game that we're in now. I'm not complaining. But, yeah, and then to answer your other question, because I didn't answer it, let me answer that because I want to make sure people know. The thing that makes me be able to keep my Christianity when I'm out is I kind of don't really care. So, like, I endorse a Christian clothing company. So I get all my clothes for free. So those are the clothes I use on tour. So, like, I got shirts that say, this shirt was made for the will of God. I got a shirt that says, not today, Satan, big as day on my back.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff I wear anyway. So it's kind of hard for you to even wonder,
Right.
what my stance is. And then, I'm always doing how we do, like how you say, Holy Ghost. I do that kind of stuff on tour all the time. That's just how I joke. I'm not going to change myself. And you don't have to be offensive. The thing about being on tour is you have so many different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
my assistant might be a rock star guy with a billion tattoos that doesn't go to church.
Right.
Like for Ricky Martin, for example, my drummer, he does not believe in God at all.
Wow.
He says, I don't believe in that stuff because such and such and such happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a TV show. The guitar player was an atheist. And you get what happens when you get in those type of realms. You have to respect everybody.
Correct.
Because everybody just feels how they feel.
Correct.
You know, I can't condemn him for not believing, but you're not going to pull that on me.
Right.
And all I can do is say, well, you know, in my life and in my upbringing, this is the things that have happened to me.
I've seen them work.
And you may say, that, well, that was just life because you put those vibrations in the air, whatever people be calling it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm supposed to be slow. I was born 3 months early. I graduated top of my class.
Wow.
And I'm making money hand over fist in a career that I didn't really have to go to school for.
That was God.
And he did.
God's placement.
So, I mean, yeah, that's divine. So, hey, that's fine. You know, if you ever decide you want to change your mind, you want to talk about it, you got somebody that's cool, that's not going to say, well, if you don't go to church, you're going to die.
Right.
That's not me. I'm not going to say that to you. So you can have someone that'll be able to have an intelligent conversation with you without condemning you, even if we don't agree. So that's what kind of has been able to keep me and sustain me. And then I've been with artists that then became saved because of the situation. Like, I don't want to take credit for it because I can't. It was God in the first place, and I think her husband had a lot to do with it. But when I first got with Sierra, he wasn't really doing like Bible studies and all that kind of stuff like that. Now, Russell is a super Christian.
Right.
I think he's the president of the Christian NFL club or something like that. Like, and we're cool. But it does make it a little easier when your musical director knows Marvin Sapp, who sung at your wedding.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
It's kind of different. It's a little bit easier to make that transition because everybody loves God in that band.
Yes.
In some shape or form, but everybody also has some sort of relationship too. So, you know, I think I've always believed, my mom always said, if you got to deny who you are in a room full of people, you shouldn't be there.
Wow, that's strong.
God has given me amazing blessings to be able to be cool, be well off, and still be able to say, oh yeah, and I love God. So, versus how it used to be.
I think that's important. And a lot of times we as Christians look at those of you who I call on the front line, the Yolanda Adams, the Mary Marys, the Marvin Sapps, who get a lot of the bigger platforms that are not churched. I believe that God has chosen you all, including you. God has chosen you all because you can handle it, first of all. And for two, people watch how you move and maneuver. Yolanda says she will be at many events and people just walk up to her and say, I need you to pray for me. We don't see that. We don't see that, but it's going on. That's why we as Christians need to not talk and be praying when we have a lot of you on the forefront, because you're representing Christ, and we need to pray for you and cover you, because the devil's not going to be happy that you're in those areas, quote unquote darkness, bringing light to those areas.
Listen, when I was with some artists, I had an artist I used to tour with her for 2 or 3 years. And every time there was prayer, the manager would say, hey, Javad, and this is how they talk. And that's why you can't be judgmental of people, because some people, that's just them and they don't know because they don't have the relationship.
Right.
The manager would say, hey, Javad, you real good with them prayers or whatever. Why don't you pray before we go on? But that's him sincerely saying, hey, man, we know if you say something, God might bless it. So, yo, you good with, come on, Javad, just send us with the prayers.
Right.
So, and you can tell he's kind of nervous.
Right.
So he tries to make a joke of it.
Right.
But that's really him saying that.
Right.
So one of the things I want to ask you, this is the shift in the interview, because I got some questions for you. Are you ready for this, Brother Javad?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Brother Javad, is there a meaning behind your name, Javad?
From what I've researched, it means God sent.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's Persian, actually.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong, but that's what I found.
Okay.
Well, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that.
I have some Persian friends.
We're going to go with that, though. We're going to go with that. That's a good one.
Okay.
All right, God sent.
Okay.
Now, the next question I have for you is You've been all over the world. Tell us,
multiple times. Yes.
tell us, in what location did you get the very, 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 very best food that you was like, oh my Jesus, and then the one situation or the place that you went that you said, oh Father, help me when the food came out.
The best food would have to be a toss up between um, Monte Carlo, Italy, and Japan.
Okay.
I went to Monte Carlo to do their version of like the E3, which is like a big tech show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a super, 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 super expensive city.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been blessed that, you know, when I'm out with these artists, some of the artists I've been with, a lot of our food is comped.
Yeah.
So I can kind of eat wherever I want. And man, between there and France,
Mm-hmm.
Italy,
Okay.
the food is just like when you eat pasta overseas, it doesn't really have sauce. Like they'll bring you pasta and it'll look like white noodles.
Uh-huh.
It'll look like there's nothing on it, and then you bite it, and it's like, wait a minute,
Where's the rest?
what is that? What is going on?
Right.
Why am I full?
Right.
Why am I full right now?
Right.
And you're full, and it is amazing. I mean, oh my goodness. Like, the worst food probably would be when I went to Indonesia.
Why? What was it?
It just, the seasoning is different. Like when you go to these different places, everybody, because they have different stuff, you know?
Right.
And so you try to, my stomach is real funny.
Mine too, bro.
I can't eat any, or I'll get like sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like,
So,
nah, I can't do it.
so my last question to you, been all over the world multiple times. When was that one time you had to call your mama and say, Mama, I need prayer?
Man, it's been a couple times. Because there have been times I was gonna leave, and I was like, Mom, if you don't pray, if you don't, you know,
Yeah.
and my pastor, Dr. Bailey, rest his soul, we used to talk all the time because I'd be gone so much.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a lot. We used to talk a lot on the phone, and he would pray. We would pray all the time too. One that wasn't work related probably would be I was in Japan with Shaka Khan, and that's when those tsunamis were happening real bad.
Wow.
And they were having the earthquakes, and the earthquake happened, and there was an earthquake happening. I was on the top floor, and we were at a Hilton in Osaka, and the building shook, and they had to evacuate.
Man.
That was probably the scariest moment because I was on the top floor. I was like on a 20th floor.
Wow.
And so we had to get out the elevators and all that stuff. And it was, you know, we're seeing on the news what's happening. And it's just like, yo, I could die here in Japan.
Right.
My mama can't get to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some countries, you can't just fly. You got to get a visa, like
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably there. And then one time I was in Turkey, and they killed a dancer for being homosexual.
Wow.
In the street. They stoned him.
But the dancer wasn't with your camp, though, right?
Yeah, he was with our camp. He was out.
What?
He was hanging out, and he was out with some friends. And, you know, some countries, you know, as much as we hate America a lot of times, and we're not really enthused with our president, there are a lot of things that we don't have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of other people in other countries are like, man, Trump sucks, but I would still take America
Over.
because they just have freedoms that we don't have. Like Saudi Arabia, I was in Saudi Arabia for 3 months, and their women got to cover their face. They can't go inside before a man. If they're sitting at a table with men, they can't order. The man has to order.
Wow.
Like it's little stuff like that America has, and they stoned this guy, and it was just like, whoa.
Wow. Now, I have a question. For these young musicians that are coming up now, what advice would you give them? Because what I'm hearing from you is that you serve. When you get home to America, you're at church. You've never left the church. You've just taken the church with you everywhere you've gone all over the world. What would you tell young people about serving? Because growing up from my era, we were nurtured in the church. So we were the musicians and the singers from the church. We didn't have to hire people. We were bred and made from within.
Right, right. It's hard because when I say this with all respect to pastors in church, I love the Lord. All my uncles is pastors. You already know.
Yeah.
You already know.
Right.
Church is hard, though. Church is hard because it's changed. When I was growing up, guys were touring or whatever, but that's when they were kind of starting to hire church guys versus it being all inclusive or, all being within the church itself.
Right.
Church is hard because as much as they don't want us to treat it like it's a gig, that's how they treat it.
Wow.
Meaning the pastors and, the people that hire us and, I've always told people, because people, the board, I've always told people, they're like, well, Javad, I've had church people say, well, I mean, you get paid to play at church? I don't get paid, and I don't get this, and da-da-da-da. And, okay, well, here's the difference. The difference is if I can decide any Sunday at a church that I'm playing at that I don't want to play that week, if I come into church and I can go sit in the audience and nobody's going to look at me, then you don't need to pay me. But there's never been a time I can come to church and say, hey, pastor, I'm not going to play today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to sit and enjoy the service. Everybody's going to look at me like, well, why not?
Right.
Well, because I don't want to play today. Today, I just want to be ministered to.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, but that's your job. Oh, but if you're an usher and it's your job to usher, or you're a deacon and it's your job to be the deacon, and you decide not to come to church, there's no repercussion.
Wow.
You're not going to get kicked off the usher board for not ushering that Sunday.
Right.
Because you were sick.
Right.
I can't call in sick. If I call in sick, I got to call a sub.
Yep. That's true.
If I come to church, and let's not even say it on that leg. Let's look at it from this side. If I go to church and I'm at Pastor DeCure's church, let's say I'm at Victory.
Yeah, Victory.
And him or Pastor White is giving a rhema word, and I go in, right?
Yeah.
And I stay in. I never come out of it because it's just so full.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But there's nobody to play the altar call. I can do that maybe twice. The first time it'd be, God was just through our minstrels, through our Levites.
Yes.
Let that happen 3 Sundays in a row.
They're going to dock you.
It's going to be a meeting.
They're going to dock
you. Brother Day.
We need
Brother Day.
So when it comes to what the young musicians, there's a disconnect because now the culture that we're kind of being given is, oh yeah, man, I got this church gig, I got to go do this, I got to go do that, and or you start to see, because it's also the new kind of thing, a lot of pastors are living really, really good.
True.
So as a person, and I love church, love everybody, but there has now become a divide almost in classes. So as a musician, you're working hard and you're doing all this, and then they give you like $100 or something, and then the pastor got an S500. You kind of like, I mean, I understand, but it makes you feel like sometimes, this is what I've been told, this is how I felt at times. Like, okay, he's up here and we're down here. And then as soon as something is lacking, the first thing to go usually is the musician's pay.
Yes.
But nobody else lost anything they had. And then a lot of times they kind of look down. Like, people don't really realize how much money you make being a successful musician.
Yes.
So there's a lot of times in church where they kind of look at us like, oh, those are the musicians. Like, they just look down on us a little bit.
Right.
And so, do I do that, or do I go out here where I can make 5 times the money, get gear for free, be respected, be seen, be recognized, or do I just stay at the church where every now and again I'm like, oh, come here, brother musician.
Right.
He's really working hard, isn't he?
Right.
Thank you. Let's give him a love offering. Bless him. Tell him he's doing good.
Right.
I don't want to be told I'm doing good.
You want to be
I
able
want
to
to be
live.
treated like I'm doing good.
Yes.
Brother Javad,
You know?
Brother
Yes,
Javad,
sir.
I want to ask this question because I want to get back
Yeah.
to these young musicians. I agree with you on all the things that you've said, but
Wonderful.
there, I want to say was some requirements for you to become a professional musician, and so
Come
I
on,
want to
come
ask
on.
some questions. You do read music, right?
I read a little bit, yes. I'm not
Okay.
as good as I should be,
But you can read, right?
but I'm okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not completely naked in front of the church. But in my defense, I also played horns in school.
Yeah.
So I play trombone and a little bit of trumpet too.
Yeah, see, and I'm a
So,
trumpet
kinda helps.
player.
Right.
I'm a trumpet player, and the reason why I said that is that there's so many church musicians that want to be paid
Come on.
as high
Come
gigging
on.
musicians, but they can't read, they can't pick it up. If somebody send them a chart, the chart is foreign
Right.
to them.
Yeah, but nah,
Yeah.
nah.
And they can't pick
I
it up
love y'all,
fast.
but nah.
And they can't pick it
Yeah,
up.
but
They can't pick it up fast either,
yeah,
and they
but
don't
no.
study the song.
Yeah. And
Yeah, but there's one thing that I learned the songs, but I have to be honest with you guys. I gotta be honest. Reading is not the standard of what it has to be anymore.
Right.
It isn't. If it was, then I would be an avid reader. I can tell you this. Of the 6 accounts I have right now, I'm not reading on any of them.
Okay. So
And
let,
it's not a requirement for me to read on any of them. Now, there are TV shows where you do definitely need to have some knowledge of reading in order to be able to get through it, but that's because of the volume of songs. So, like, I did La Voz last year, which is the Latin version of The Voice. We were reading. We weren't, like, reading ... because I would have got fired. But we were reading, and we had charts for every song.
Right.
Now, again, because of where I am in my career at the moment, it is not detrimental to me to have to read.
yeah.
But here's where the God piece comes in. And I say this with absolute zero arrogance. I can play. So where I lack in certain places,
Right.
I excel in others.
Right.
So, for example, La Voz, everybody was a better reader than I was. Everybody was. The musical director, who's also Ricky Martin's musical director, is a super reader, but he hates to read because he feels it takes the feeling away.
Right.
Because you're just looking at the dots.
Right.
But because he can read, we still had charts. So, you know, you play trumpet, you looking at it, but once you know it, you just
Exactly.
literally looking at it for a guide.
That's
You know what I'm
good.
saying? And then you're going back to it.
Yeah, and that's my
But
point. That's,
but the reason why I got to stop you, this is why I got to stop you,
Right.
is because there is a stigma with a lot of veterans because when you guys came up, we went to school,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And if we didn't go to school, we learned how to read because a lot of the gigs were reading gigs.
Right.
Like, especially in LA.
Right.
I talked to a lot of my friends from New York and stuff, and when they would come here to hire people in LA, even in the last couple of years,
Right.
they call union guys.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the union guys read. So a lot of these artists would call people from other states because they were like, man, the dudes in LA, they only read. They don't play with no feeling because they were calling some of those kind of guys.
Right.
But in the touring in the touring world, and Adam Blackstone's probably the biggest musical director of my generation right now. He reads. His people can read, but it's not a requirement versus when Ricky Minor, who's still the GOAT,
Right.
but when he was doing a lot of the touring stuff, you had to read to be with Ricky Minor,
Yeah.
or he wouldn't even allow you in the band. You know
Eh,
what I'm saying? He wouldn't even allow you to be in there. But that's not the case anymore.
Well,
It's not even close to that.
yeah,
right.
and the reason why I asked that question is because being that I'm a record executive, a lot of times I have musicians come up to me and they get upset about, well, why I'm a better player than this player over here and this and that, and
Hmm.
how do they get this gig and how they get this gig? And I said, well, honestly, the one thing they did, they might not have been proficient in this like straight up reading and playing, but they were able to
Yeah.
understand the charts and then they were able to make it come to
Yeah.
life. I said, at least know how to understand the charts because that's going to open you up for other jobs that are going to require that.
Definitely.
And that's the whole
Definitely.
thing for you. Not only the God factor for you, but I think also just listening to you,
Hmm.
you're the complete package. You're a
Yeah.
person that people feel comfortable around.
Yep.
You have a good
Yeah.
personality. Your work
That
ethic
plays a
is,
big part.
yeah, your work ethic is impeccable. You don't come to rehearsal unprepared, or because see, some people come to rehearse and learn the stuff.
Yeah.
But if you really a
Yeah.
professional, you come in and you already know it, and then you don't perfect it in rehearsal. So
Right.
these are the kind of things when I look at super MDs like yourself. I see your preparation and your
Yeah.
integrity that literally takes you
Yeah.
over and everywhere you go.
Yeah. I live by the quote, failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
Right. And Java, we got your boy James Brown on here. He's listening to this interview, and he was doing a lot of stuff early on, um, with the
James
maestro,
Brown.
with the
I know
maestro
I know
JB,
three of them.
JB, the one that
Oh,
was.
the producer.
Yes, he's on here listening.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
What's up?
he was
What's
he
up,
he was
James?
Daryl Coley's producer. He worked with Thomas Whitfield. He produced their very last live project. And my last question
Oh
before
yeah,
we
no,
before we
JB is
end.
a goat.
Oh,
JB
JB
is one
is,
of the goats.
and he's doing wonderful stuff outside of gospel right now. He's running his own company where he um, transportation for people. He's a pilot,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's doing his thing. My last thing before we end is, how was it working with Paula Abdul? Because you guys are doing a residency in Vegas, right?
Yeah. I produced her residency for Vegas.
How was that?
Oh man, it was Paula's. Hmm, it was great. Paula is just she's a perfectionist, and sometimes artists never realize that it can never be perfect,
Hmm.
and you have to shout out to Nappy Tabs that called me for that they're creative directors. You have to be at a place where you can say, okay, we can always go higher, but this is going to work for the time that we have.
Right.
Um, and I think that might have been like the only frustrating thing for her and probably everybody else. Because it was like, yeah, but it's like sometimes you need like 6 and 7 months to rehearse something because it takes you a month to get it where it needs to go.
Right.
Hmm.
Then you got to run it. Then you got to go back and look at it. Then you got to go back and say, okay, let's change that. That's it. You know what I mean? But outside of that, she's a joy, man. She's a sweetheart. Really, really nice.
I've heard that.
If you're working late, she'll work late. Like, there was time. I think one time she flew me private to her in Vegas because it was something she didn't like, and
Wow.
she was like, "Javad, I don't like it, and I know you're gonna kill me, but I don't like it, and I want it to be perfect,
Right.
and can I fly you out here?" It's never, well, fix it. It was never that with her. It was
Wow.
always, I'll fly you out here. I had an assistant. Her Pro Tools guy, well, her program guy, I'll say, because he was using Digital Performer, was Michael Jackson. So,
Wow.
the level of excellence was really, really high. Again, I'm the only black guy on the production side of everything.
Hmm.
So, and I'm the youngest because everybody was 40 plus because it's her. So she's really loyal. But we got it. I think she flew me private out of here from Burbank to her, and we sat in her room. She ordered 6 or 7 pizzas. She
And,
put on some sweat,
and
and she
got to
said,
work.
"Okay, let's get it, and I'm gonna pay you." I said, "Oh, okay." And when people, I've always Ricky Martin is the same way. Sierra is the same way. Omarion is the same way. It's like I'll respect an artist more if they're willing to get in the trenches with you.
Right.
And that's why you see the Beyonce
Mm-hmm.
and the Rickies and people like that only doing stadium level stuff, because what you don't see is, okay, I'm not really in love with that arrangement, but I'm gonna sit here until we get it right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had
Complete
artists
package.
that'll leave. Yeah, they'll leave and come back. Well, okay, what is it now? Okay, well that's why you only doing the house blues, because you weren't here for anything.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So Paula was great. She was great, sweetheart, really kind, really nice, extremely well at paying. And at that point, when you're making as much as she was willing to pay everybody, it's not even about how much you're making, because you don't mind being around the person.
Right.
You know, and I mean, we were doing long hours with Paula, but it came off great. Vegas gave her an amazing review. I could be able to say that anytime you go see the Paula Abdul residency, all that music is me.
Wow.
So great.
So what are you working on now as we wrap this
Well,
wonderful interview up? This is wonderful.
Oh man. Thank you guys. Right now, we got the pandemic, so I'm at home now, but I've been working on content for my site. Before the pandemic, I was on a world tour with Ricky Martin, so as soon as that's over, that has to resume.
Right.
And I was on a national tour with Omarion for the Millennium Tour,
Mm-hmm.
which all of those are sold out. So I'm going in between those two tours, working on my mom's project. You got to put me and my brother putting her project down.
Wow.
Yeah, working on some TV stuff with Pastor the Cure.
And you finna work on my project too.
Yeah. Because honestly, that's what I was here to say. I really want to help people in LA. You know, as far as especially on the Kingdom side,
Right.
getting some good albums off. Because for me, a lot of my friends are doing. You know, my friends do James Fortune, and
Yes.
my friend Justin Savage just did the Jonathan Nelson record. Like,
Yes.
a lot of my friends are doing these albums.
Right.
And I remember, and it's because I'm from LA, I don't care. I remember when it was us.
Yes.
LA was the spot.
Yes.
We had a lot of the 90s and early 2000s.
Yes, sir.
And it's just like, I feel like we kind of really don't have any representation from here.
Mm-hmm.
Of a good body of records.
Right.
And so that's why a lot of stuff me and Pastor the Cure kind of been like, okay, look, let's camp up, let's find some good talent, and let's really cultivate it, because to God be the glory, I've learned how to produce a little bit.
Man,
So
that's awesome. Your heart for people, man. That's why God is blessing you, because of your heart for people.
Just want to ask you before we wrap this interview up. You said that you wear a certain clothing line, as well as you have certain endorsements from the industry. I don't know if you want to take the time to shout those out right now.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to SC Electronics. I actually just signed with them yesterday.
Congratulations.
They're my new microphone company
Congratulations.
that I'm endorsing, because MXL would not respond to me, even though they started responding to me today. Too late.
Too late.
Novation. Shout out to Novation keyboards and controllers. I endorse them. Focusrite interfaces, Curling Cable. I'm just looking around so I don't forget anything.
Right.
Roland keyboards, Moog, 64 audio, in-ears, Groove Gear backpacks, Native Supply Clothing, which is the Christian company.
Right.
I suggest all of you go there. Their stuff is so good. Like, it looks like H&M, and the quality is amazing.
I'm gonna hit you up
And it's
about
all
that. I'm
Kingdom
gonna hit you
stuff.
up. I'm gonna hit you up about that.
It's real. I mean, real nice stuff. IK Multimedia software and interfaces. Lord, is that? Oh, VMODA headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I endorse them. My Creative Candle. Ooh, I think that's it. I hope I didn't forget anybody.
Well,
I think that's it.
That's the wonderful thing about
Jeez.
when you do the work and you let God do the rest. You will be able to see the fruits of your labors.
Abundance.
We want to
Abundance.
say congratulations to your
Yes.
brother. I always like for people at your stature to be able to shout out to all of those folks that stand with you and believe in your
Yeah.
brand. Robert Earl Dean, any finals?
Brother, I appreciate you for this interview on godradio1.com. We are heard in over 20 countries, so people are getting a chance to see the other side of you. Will we see you doing the things with the Ricky Martins and the Paul Abduls and the Sierras, but to get close and personal is a lot, and it's great for people that want to know the other side of you. So thank you, Pastor John DeCure, G, that whole camp. Thank you. We appreciate you. And you always have a home on godradio1.com, bro.
All right. Thank you, man. Love you
Love
guys.
you too. What do you want to hear before we leave?
Oh man. Oh man. Get me on the spot there. That new Jonathan Nelson Manifest record is amazing.
Well, right here we
It should be. It's called Manifest. I think it's off of the Reunion record. It just dropped.
okay. We're gonna try to get that up for you
Yeah.
right now. Robert
I
O'Dean
put
is Robert
I
O'Dean is
put him on the spot too. I'm sorry.
and I'm like sitting up here like,
I'm sorry.
did he just really just?
Oh God.
Yeah, he did it.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
y'all. I'm just so excited to have him on here. He like family to me. So I'm just
I know.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. Forgive me, viewers and listeners. I got a little excited.
And I'm sitting up here like, okay,
His
I'm
fingers going fast right now.
keep on talking,
Yeah.
Robert Earl Dean, because you done
Yeah.
started it.
How can they find you? How can they find you?
You guys, this is amazing. My website, www.theclinic.com, TheKlynik.com. That is my actual website, which has the portals to all of my social media, which is my
Right.
Twitter,
Right.
my Instagram, my Facebook. All of my social media is Mr. Clinic, MrKlynik, at Mr. Clinic. That's on everything.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. That is Javad Day and his request, Jonathan Nelson and Purpose Manifest. We're going to play it right here because Robert Earl Dean put it on the spot, and we want to make sure our brother is happy.
Sorry, y'all.
We love you, man.